First thing we found out was that all the tributaries in the Withlacoochee River is loaded with hyacinth, And I mean, it wasn't paddling. I mean, it was chopping up hyacinths before you could go anywhere, Clyde just took it in stride, and I got really tired of it. And I said, Clyde, I'm going to get out of the boat and pull us up there to where we can pitch our camp. He says, okay, Freddie. He says, it's probably not more than a couple of feet deep. Can't be that deep. So I go over the side, and next thing I know, my hat's floating, I come up, I got my glasses in my hand and everything. He says, well, Freddie, he says, how deep was it? I said, well, Clyde, I found that first 2 feet you're talking about. And I said, there was another 6 feet down there. He said, well, I told you it wasn't too deep. So I knew better than try to get back in the boat, Of course, Clyde was talking at me all along. He said, Freddie, I don't know what it is about you, but he says, every time I'm in the boat with you, you'd rather stay out of the boat than in the boat, So we pulled up to this place where we thought we could camp. I just pulled the canoe, and Clyde is whacking all those hyacinths. And the sun was going down, and we just hurriedly got up there, and we pitched the tent and pulled it right back up in the bushes. And we were in a stand of beautiful cypress, and there was a cushion of leaves on the ground. You didn't need a sleeping bag. I mean, you could just sleep right there on the cushion. We got a nice fire going, and I put on some dry clothes, and I think the Lord will forgive me, but we had a little blackberry brandy to take the edge off, And we enjoyed, Clyde and I, we enjoyed bagels, and so we had some pumpernickel bagels, and we put cream cheese on them and fig preserves, and I think that was our supper that night, until we went to sleep soundly. Well, early in the morning, I saw Clyde's flashlight turn on, I turned mine on, and the ground started trembling. I mean, it trembled. We didn't know whether we were going through a tornado or whether there was an earthquake or what was happening, Clyde looks at me, and I'm shining my light on him, he's shining my light on me, and about that time the train horn went off. I mean, it just blew our ears slap. I guess the engineers saw our campfire, and this whoosh of air, went by, and the tent just collapsed right around us, And Clyde says, well, Freddie, he says, I know one thing. I said, what's that, Clyde? He says, we're going to have to get a train-proof tent. We had some good times together. I was looking at those pictures back there to reminisce, Clyde. But I didn't see his signature red socks. Clyde loved those red socks. I can't remember the funny story he told me about going to his sock drawer one day and he got all frustrated with it, but I do remember in his slow drawl, he said, Freddie, I'm going to wear red socks till the day I die. And I'm not sure, is that true, Vicky? Pretty much. Yeah, Clyde was a great guy. We worked at the lumberyard together, and we were selected, Clyde and I were selected to go down to Miami to see this new nailing system where you could build a house like in an hour. You could just put the boards down and press a button and then things would come in and nail the boards together, and you'd have a wall, put the windows in it, and put it on a truck and take it out. That was back when Florida was going really berserk, So Clyde and I went down there, and we had a beautiful motel room overlooking the water. But they were having the America's Cup race. There were sailboats just lined up out there. I mean, the American Eagle, all the boats from New Zealand and England, all around the world. And Clyde was he was just going down through there drooling, and we were taking pictures. I think I still might have some old Super 8s of that. And we went out to eat that night and had a nice meal, came back, going to bed. you know. And I remember all night long, it was the clanging of all that rigging, you know. I mean, there's 100 and something sailboats out there, you know. I didn't sleep that night. Clyde got up in the morning and he said, "Freddie, did you hear that music?" I said, "Clyde, I didn't sleep a wink." I said, "All that clanging of those sailboat rigging." He says, "That's the music I'm talking about right there." But he helped me out to learn a living and earn a living. And I remember I went to work for a window company, and the guy handed me a couple of cabinet doors. He says, "Go out here and sell some cabinets." And that's all he did. We didn't have any cabinets. We just had these doors as samples. So I figured I'd pick on the biggest outfit that I could find, and I went down there to Sarasota, and I found this guy who was going to build like almost 200 units on Siesta Key. And I went in and met him and showed him these doors. He says, yeah, I like them. He said, "I'm going to give you a set of plans." Well, I had to get a shopping cart to get the plans out of his office. I mean, they weighed about 50 pounds, 200 units and all this script stuff, and I didn't know anything about cabinets at the time. So I depended on my good friend Clyde. Clyde came out in the car with me, and we got the plans in and put them on his desk, and he said, "Freddie, this is just an unsolved opportunity. That's all this is. It's just an unsolved opportunity." He started opening up the pages, and he said, "Well, you need a 30 BC here, and you need a 2030 there." I said, "Clyde, how do you know this?" He said, "Well, it's right there in front of you, And I didn't know what he was talking about, but he soon educated me. Well, I made the presentation thanks to Clyde. Clyde did all the work, and all I did was just go out there and hand out a couple of doors. I ended up getting that sale. It was over $250,000. And I got Clyde for that. But he's a great man, but he sold me.
Well, like everyone else, the thing I remember about Clyde is the stories he had and the fact that he loved to eat. And more than once, when Bob, on Friday nights, we would wander over to the Country Buffet, which was his favorite restaurant. I mean, he cherished that time, and he especially loved the fish. And he'd come back, and he'd have this whole plate full, a big pile of this fried, what was it, some sort of catfish or whatever fish they had. And oh, he loved that fish. And I stopped going to the place because every time I went to it, I would just eat way too much. But I know he, from time to time, would make his way back. But that's what I remember. And he loved, he loved food of all kind. And he really looked forward to our potlucks. That's the, and I understand that he told Michelle that he really was felt bad that he couldn't be here for our last one, and Michelle told him, "Well, now when you get better, we'll have one just for you." So, we will always remember his spirit, and what a jovial, fun-loving guy Clyde was, and we're going to truly miss him. I mean, he's been part of this since I've been coming here, and I've only been here five years or something. But no matter what we did, any activity we had going on, fundraiser or whatever we did, Vicki and Clyde were the first ones there. I mean, they participated in everything. So it was really wonderful to see, his spirit, and Vicki was always there, and no matter what we did, she was always willing to help. And so I just, that's my fondest memories is all the wonderful little stories. No matter what we did, he had some little story to say, and it was really fun.
Me again. One story I happened to think about was Clyde. Back when we worked at the lumberyard together, and I was going into service. And Clyde said, "Well, Freddie," he says,